Hi there, Good Word fam. It's Tisha Lewis, and this is The Good Word. Thank you so much for watching. Wherever you're watching us from, we're everywhere now on demand. You can watch us on your phone, on your TV, everywhere. But I'm super excited. Dawn Cazedessus, did I pronounce that correctly?
You got it.
Yes,
You
I
got
nailed
it.
it. Author Dawn Cazedessus joining us on The Good Word this week and for this episode. And Dawn, you have quite the amazing story of overcoming adversity, defying statistics, and
Mm,
really kind of charging through obstacles. You grew up in poverty and
mhm.
in a trailer park, as you
Yeah,
describe it, and
yeah,
now you have a C-suite office. So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tisha, for having me on. It's just such an honor. And ultimately, I wrote a book recently that is going to come out on September 2nd. It will be
Ooh,
our
we're almost
launch day,
there.
almost there. It is called Trailer Park CEO. And what it is all about the 12 cornerstones that I picked up along my journey from the trailer park to the C-suite that allowed for me to navigate out of what you just said, poverty and the statistics that say that sometimes people just don't get out of those situations. So I wrote this book to encourage and to provide hope to people that good things can come out of trailer parks. And when we apply these leadership stones, it is possible for anyone to navigate their future to be so much more positive than probably what their past was. And so yeah, so now I'm a regional director for the Keller Williams office for the Southeast region here in Atlanta. And so come a long way from that South Louisiana trailer park.
Yeah, you've come quite the way. What would you say was, I mean, it's obviously it's a hard journey, right? But what is it that
Yeah.
inspired you to keep going?
Yeah. So, in my book, I write about how, sometimes when you come out of these situations, and statistically, why people get stuck in situations is because we do what we model what we see. Right. And so when you're surrounded by people that are doing things that necessarily aren't moving you forward, sometimes we stay in those patterns. But I was fortunate enough to start watching people and seeing people doing things that was opposite of what I was witnessing in the trailer park. And so it encouraged me to navigate and explore, like, what could that mean for me for my life? So I call it the cornerstones, but it's like stones that I would pick up along the way in my journey that taught me about grit, taught me about discipline, taught me about how to be optimistic when a world sometimes is not very optimistic, how to apply growth plans to my life, and then ultimately how to use my faith in order to inspire and to give me hope of what I can be because God created me for so much more. I had to go back to work. I had to go back into making Dawn better. I had to go and I had to start studying other CEOs, start studying how other people were thinking. I was reading journals and case studies and how people would solve things. I was like, okay, I have to grow in order to lead.
What would you say are the top three cornerstones that you're referencing?
Yeah. Well, the very first one that I love to talk about is grit, because a lot of times people think that you just got to grind your way into success. And this is why we see a lot of C-suite people and successful people burn out and, or maybe lose the lackluster that they have for whatever they're doing, right? And it's because they're grinding for the wrong reason. So I opened the book with that. We have to grit on purpose, and we grit on purpose because we have to know what our why is. We have to know what it is that we're wanting to accomplish and why we were created. And so when you grit on purpose, you then are fulfilled into that grind. And then second is that I like to talk about failing forward because we've all failed, Tisha, right? I mean, we've all arrived to where we are today because we learned how to fail forward. And so I actually redefine the word fail. And I say that first it's the F, it stands for forgive. You got to forgive yourself for whatever happened and whatever you went through. And then we have to accept it. We just have to accept it that it did happen. And then the I in fail stands for inspect. We have to inspect what exactly happened so that then we can do the L, which is learn from it and be able to not repeat those same patterns in our life and learn how to fail forward. So grit and fail forward. And then the third one is communication, learning how to communicate with clarity and compassion in order to say the things that we really want to say with clear communication so that others can understand and know how to follow us as leaders.
We have an acronym that we broke down for it where FAIL stands for first, you got to forgive yourself because it's the hardest thing, and especially as high powered women, we're like, it's like forgiveness of that. And I'll forgive you, but I can't forgive myself. We are so hard on ourselves. So it's really forgiving it. And then it's accepting it, just acknowledging it. It happened. It's real. I don't have to sugarcoat it. I don't have to change it. Just owning it and accepting it. And then I look at the I in fail as inspect. Okay, what do I need to inspect?
I'm going to have to write this down.
Yeah. And,
I'm writing this down.
Inspect it. Just like really look at this failure and saying, what do I need to understand about what happened? And the L is for learning. See, the difference between failure and failing is the learn part. It's that L. Because learning says, I'm going to learn from it, and then I'm going to be wise and obtain that wisdom to change the pattern. And I can recognize it, I can forgive it, I can accept it, but I got to learn from it so that I can move forward. Now, if I keep repeating the same thing over and over again, somewhere in there, I skipped a step. Maybe I didn't forgive on it. Maybe I really didn't accept it, or maybe I didn't inspect what happened or I didn't learn from it. And if we look at all of our successes in life, they're just the sum of our failures. We just fail our way to success. And so when I reframed it, I started realizing that I could do more. So I give myself permission to fail now. So it's become my favorite chapter.
What would you say, you focus a lot on really shaping and creating leaders and leadership. What would you say is the biggest challenge, that leaders today face? We have a whole generation that doesn't stay in a job for more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
So how do you cultivate, who's next when you're navigating that?
Yeah, I love this question, Tisha, because I think we can all resonate internally with this, is that I think that the biggest opportunity we have for growth as leaders is to really understand our purpose, understand our why. Many of us are clocking in, clocking out on the 9 to 5s or doing our gigs out there in the world, but sometimes we don't understand why we're doing it and why we were created and what our purpose is. So it's like, Simon Sinek wrote a great book that said, start with why, right? And so it's really understanding that. And once we can understand that, then it's very easy to navigate our leadership roles because we know why we're doing it.
And that why is so important. I was having a conversation with some friends, and the topic came up of finding your why. What's my why? How do I find my why? And so I guess I'll ask you, how do we find our why? And it's okay. You know what? I was actually sharing. It's okay for you to be your why.
Yes. I think people make it so difficult, Tisha, because they want this big why. Like they think it needs to be so philanthropical and just this big thing. And so what I tell people is that, one, I think you should stop everything you're doing, get a cup of coffee, get your journal.
I have my coffee right here.
There we go. Step number one. And just sit and unpack that. Like just spend some quiet time, journaling out and reflecting over your life. We're all given these gifts and talents that we get to use. And when we really pause and take some time and from the distractions of the world and journal out and look at our life, we will see these little nuggets that show up that will show us the things that we're good at and what brings us passion. So one, I believe you have to reflect, but then two is like start with the little whys. Start with the little things right now that bring passion to your life, that you have these gifts and talents for, because sometimes we are not given the big why just yet because we're not ready for it. And sometimes it's like these little whys that we'll get to stack up then to discover the big why. And yet we can't do that if we don't take time to pause and reflect. We're busy people, and what do we want to do? We want to get up and run, and we just want to kind of navigate our day so fast and fill up the calendar, check all the boxes. And in reality, it's very difficult to just thought like what our purpose is if we don't take time to pause and reflect because the clues are there. They're
Mhm.
already there. We were all created for a purpose. We just got to pause and reflect in order to understand it.
I am uniquely positioned to serve that. In the book, I say it's the single woman, it's the married woman, it's the divorced woman, it is the entrepreneur, it is the homeschool mom, it is the stay at home mom, it is that woman that is just trying to make ends meet, the one that's living in her abundance. Because I've lived in all of those now. When I climbed out of that pit, I can turn around and grab that next woman's hand and say, come on, we can do this together. And thinking about as you close the book and you've read that last word in there, what would be left on the person? And ultimately, it's to know that no one is a mistake. For each of us, we have a purpose and we get to walk in that. And I would love it if they did that joyfully.
Before we let you go, your book, Trailer Park CEO, coming out very soon. Um, the title, caught my attention, can strike a chord. When you use the term trailer park, it, do you feel like it still has that stigma,
Yeah,
that
it does.
uncomfortable stigma associated with it? And how were you able to look past that and say, this is what we are going to talk about?
Yeah. Trailer Park CEO, the book itself has been like a 10-year passion project for me. And the reason it's being released now is because I had to overcome that stigma personally. There's a lot of shame that comes with living in poverty. I had to go and search deep in if I wanted to expose that side of me and to really let people know where I came from and what I went through. Because in trailer parks, for a lot of people, there's abuse, there's addictions, there's all these things that are truth of what happens in those situations. And so, unfortunately, I had to go on my own journey to overcome shame in order to be willing to go and write my story and share it. And so I do think that unfortunately we do have the stigma with it, and that a lot of times people get caught in that because maybe for the same reasons I was caught in it is because of the shame. And so we have to overcome that. And that's what I'm hoping this book does, is gives hope to people that good things can come out of the trailer park or very similar settings of poverty and abuse and addictions that happen in people's lives today.
And for everyone who comes on the good word, we always ask everyone who spends some time with us, spends some time chatting with us, what would you say is the good word?
Mm. So for me, when I look at it, and I did that time of reflecting and going back, I have to say it's faith, because when I look at, well, uh, it's faith first, but the very last stone of my book. So I have 12 stones called 12 cornerstones of becoming a godly woman of influence. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a lanyap stone,
Mm-hmm.
Tisha, and it's because in South Louisiana we have a saying that's called lanyap, and it means a little extra. And
Mm.
so to be honest, I would probably have to say then my good word is generosity, because that is my lanyard stone in my book. Because without faith in my life and without the extreme generosity that has been shown to me in my life, that now I get to pay forward, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't get to stand here in this C-suite spot here in Atlanta, Georgia, if it wasn't for those two things. So generosity would have to be my good word.
That's incredible. It's an incredible good word. And if you can share with us, for folks who want to follow along on your journey, find out when this book is coming out, Trailer Park CEO, where can they find you and where can they follow along?
Well, I would be so honored to meet our listeners, so they can find me either on any of the social handles. They can just, my name, Dawn Cazedessus, either at Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Yet they can also go to my website, and the website is trailerparkceobook.com. So trailerparkceobook.com. They go there, they'll find me, they'll find all the details about the book, as well as some free digital assets that they can have and enjoy as well with their book.
We love free.
Yes, we do.
Um, and it's such an incredible story. Dawn, thank you so much for joining us on The Good Word. I know we did a little bit of an abbreviated version, but we wanted to make sure that we were able to squeeze you in and chat with you about your incredible story from the trailer park to the C-suite. I think that this is a testimony and a testament that all things are possible, right? That no matter where, it's not where you come from, it's where you're going, where you're headed, and as long as you keep going, you'll get there.
That's right. That's a great message. Just keep picking up the stones, one in front of the other. We're going to build great things together. Thank you so much for this time, Tisha.
Thanks so much, Dawn.